I'm Angela Rout, and this is the second video that I have made to accompany my art kits. And this one is for some suggestions for painting with toddlers and babies. So, I just did the supply video, and it tells about all the supplies, and I would watch that video because there's a little bit of information there that might be helpful for you. So when you're working with babies, first of all, between about 6 months and 18 months, they do tend to want to eat the paint. So people ask me, how old can my baby be before they paint? Well, if they can hold a brush and they're not going to eat the paint, they're old enough. If they're still eating paint, it's really fun for them. Usually they just want to dip it in the water. So if you have a couple cups of water with food dye or something that you're not concerned about them eating, you can just let them mix the colors and enjoy that. Often they're not even concerned about the paper, so that's really fun for them. But once they get old enough that they're wanting to put the paint on the paper, this can be really fun. I would like to suggest too, especially when they're little and even all the way up and even as adults, you can watch over them, and please do, to make sure that they're not eating the paint and none of it's going in their mouth, and also to make sure that they're usually keeping it on the paper. But other than that, let them be free. It's not an exercise in making sure everybody stays in the lines or, hold the brush properly or any of that. This is an experiment to learn about color, to learn how the water and the paper and the paint all work together. So chill out, relax, let them enjoy it, let them really experience what painting is about. One thing though you might want to watch for is sometimes they get a lot of water on their paper, and then it tends to break up the paper, and then it just turns into like a mudgy, sludgy mess. So what I would suggest is if it starts to get a lot of water and it starts to make puddles, you can just use a little bit of toilet paper, take a wad of it and sort of dab it. And you can do that actually throughout. If there's too much color or it's really thick, you can always dab, and it actually removes quite a lot more paint than you might think. And again, you can put a big piece of newspaper. You can do this on the table. This paint totally washes up. Maybe not so much out of clothes because it will stain, but it will wash off their hands. It'll clean off your table, your floor, probably not your carpet, but any hard surfaces. Okay, so with little kids, what I like to do often is let them spray a little, just a little. Sometimes they really get into spraying, then you get them to spray your plants. But just let them spray a little, and I like to have my water bottle is great because it sprays just a very fine mist, which is nice, and that can help your paper just get a little bit damp before they start going, because then sometimes the paint can spread out easier and it's much smoother. So let's try it. I'm going to move this down a little so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm going to spray a little and just show them how it can get a little bit wet, and then you're going to show them. One thing you really need to show little kids is how to dip the brush in the water and then into the paint. Now when you're working with toddlers and little guys, I would suggest only giving them one color at a time. Otherwise they get really interested in all the different colors and not a lot ends up on the paper, which if you're doing a project, sometimes it's nice to have a painting in the end. So I would always start with the lightest color. This applies if you're an adult as well, because the lightest color can always be painted over, but it's very difficult sometimes to paint the light color over the darker colors. So you want to be able to go with the lightest color. So show them how you put the brush in the water, and then in the paint, and then on the paper. So, because they're going to want to just go straight for the paint, they're going to want to just dig in just do water. You have to show them 1, 2, 3, and sometimes it just helps if you demonstrate a little bit. So as you can see, sometimes it's really nice to have darker areas, lighter areas. I don't know if you can see through there, but this paint is really beautiful, and it's going to give you lots of different tones. So you can get darker areas, and of course, again, just let them go all over the drawing. When they're little, they're just going to want to have fun. And again, if you like the image, you can always go in afterwards and draw over the lines again. So again, like I said, watch this. If you want to remove some of the paint, if it's too dark or too wet, you can always go in with the toilet paper or a paper towel. So another thing that's really nice to teach these little guys is to clean the brush before they use the next color. So make sure they learn how to wash their brush, and again, you know if it's clean when you wipe it on the toilet paper or on the paper towel and it's coming off clean and there's no more paint on it, that means it is clean. So then you can get out your next color. And for mixing colors, I would suggest trying to do it on the paper. You can get another dish and let them experiment with mixing colors, but you know, it's gonna really mix beautifully on the paper too. So here you can see it's blue, yellow, all having a nice party together on the paper. Happy little trees. Happy little trees. So there's some more yellow. You know, like I said, if they're having a lot of trouble with the colors, keep them separate. Otherwise, you can let them have both the colors at once if they're a little older. One important thing to show them too is not to dig in the paint. Now this paint is still actually pretty soft, so it's possible to take your brush and scoop out all the paint. Now this paint should last you, I don't know, 20 paintings if it's used properly. Otherwise, it's going to be all gone. So, you know, show them how to use the paper and then how to very gently and nicely take a little bit of paint, because that paint's going to go a long way. You know, they can use more or less different times, but don't dig and gouge. That's really important. Okay, and so there you go. You can make your strokes. You can have dry brush strokes and wet brush strokes. Okay, I believe that's it. Sorry. Thank you for watching my video.